What's going on, guys? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. The devs released a pair of blog posts recently, one just today, big one about balance. We'll break it down in depth, but first there was one apologizing for the rocky launch. In order to apologize for it somewhat, they're going to be giving away some free cosmetics. All you have to do is sign in on October 25th, which I assume is when the Halloween event will start, in 12 days, and you will be getting the Cursed Captain Reaper Legendary Skin and Health Pack Weapon Charm. They'll also be scheduling extra double XP weekends in order to help you catch up on those Battle Pass tiers. Overwatch 2, of course, is in wink wink early access, so it seems like with each patch there's things they fix and once in a while a new thing they break. Remember, of course, Aaron Keller said this was the fastest possible timeline to release, and well, it feels like it a little bit, doesn't it? Next up, another Overwatch developer blog. Post-launch updates on gameplay, maps, and competitive, with a lot of talk about hero balance. Really interesting point of view from them this time. While some heroes are performing better than others, and there are differences across player skill levels, we have been happy to see that no hero's overall power level is far out of line with our goals. Every hero on the roster has a win rate between 45 and 55%, and we are not planning any immediate balance changes based on what we are seeing, with the exception of targeting adjustments to Zarya in Total Mayhem, which should go live with our next major patch on October 25th. I've seen Reddit posts about this. Zarya with the fast double bubbles means that she just can't die in Total Mayhem. I mean, she's tough to kill normally anyway. Instead, our team is planning to make a series of balance changes for Season 2 that are in line with our design goal of ensuring overall gameplay feels balanced and fair while giving each season a more distinct identity. Keep in mind, of course, we'll be getting a new tank hero in Season 2 as well, which will shake things up, I'm sure. The post goes on, while we'll continue looking at hero performance and listening to player feedback prior to finalizing any specific changes to balance for Season 2, we want to share more about what we are seeing so far. So this is a justification of why they're not really balancing anything immediately. They say, since shifting to the 5v5 format, we see many players focusing more on the tank role given the heightened importance of a single tank in role queue modes. One of the most talked about heroes on the roster right now is D.Va. With buffs after the last beta to her defense matrix and micro missiles, she can put up a fight longer than she could before the launch of Overwatch 2. Despite many players saying she's one of the best tanks in the game, Reinhardt, Sigma, and Zarya actually currently lead up the competition with an average of a 53% unmirrored win rate. Zarya's new ability to choose where to place each of her two particle barriers often allows her to build up high energy quickly, which is something we're currently keeping a close eye on for potential changes next season. Different things that they've tuned with this is, let's say, like the decay rate on her charge, or for example, there is a small delay on the projected barrier, which means you can't bubble the same ally twice in a row. Maybe that same delay needs to go on her personal health. That would give her bigger windows to be eliminated and burst it down. We'll see what they want to change, but they don't feel like it's too big of a necessity right now anyway. The blog post continues, Junker Queen has been a dominant force during the last beta playtest. Because of that, we applied changes to her commanding shout, which reduced how dominant the brawly, quote, death ball team compositions were at the highest skill levels, including the Overwatch League Summer Showdown. We'll keep an eye on her performance in the upcoming weeks to ensure she's an effective tank and fun to play. Personally, I think Junker Queen is difficult to play, but I've definitely seen her pop off. She's a character that's kind of feast or famine, and there's just going to be characters like that in Overwatch from now on, so it's a little tough to be too hand-wringy about a character like Junker Queen when she loses when she should lose, probably, and if you pop off with her, then I've seen her do fine. One tank, though, I think we can all agree is probably pretty weak, Doomfist. The devs say the team is also monitoring Doomfist's performance and play rate compared to other tanks. That seems to make it seem like he's got a low win rate and a low play rate, because everybody knows he's kind of weak. The post goes on, as we look to Season 2, we think it makes sense to evaluate his overall tanking ability and potentially make improvements to his power block and meteor strike. So the way they're wording this, although they're not giving us the stats, I would say Junker Queen and Doomfist probably have the lowest pick rates and win rates, also based on just anecdotal data. Personally, I'd say I'm surprised Junker Queen isn't as dumpstered as I thought she was going to be. Turns out she just has a skill ceiling type kit that you can just run in and hit a bunch of abilities and damage. But I also think that that hurts Doomfist's chances because they kind of do the same thing. One's just better at it. And there's so many options for mobility tanks that between Winston, Diva, Wrecking Ball, and Doom, it's going to be tough, I think, to balance all of them always. Onto the DPS category, the blog post says slicing through the competition. The damage roll has seen many hero combinations across all ranks, but we've noticed some popular picks among our players. Genji and Sojourn started as the most popular heroes when Overwatch 2 launched, but they've since leveled out to the rest of the damage roster. Genji started off with a dominating win rate, and although it's lowered slightly since launch, currently at 52%, we want to make sure he's not dominating the playing field. We'll watch Genji carefully through the season to ensure he doesn't slice up the competition too much and make adjustments in Season 2. One way we are considering doing this is through an adjustment to the damage roll passive, which has particularly benefited heroes like Genji. Sombra is also hacking her way through the backlines in many games. We adjusted her potential damage to be optimal on targets that she hacks. However, we want to ensure her targets have a reasonable time to fight back, so we'll continue to look to balance her hack ability lockout duration when we approach Season 2. We've also heard feedback that tanks feel oppressed when a Sombra is focusing them with hacks, which will also be something we'll be looking to control next season. Symmetra and Torbjorn are two other damage heroes that we are keeping a close eye on now. Over the course of the first week, their win rates have been gradually increasing, and they are showing the highest win rates now at some ranks. Both heroes can be effective counters to Genji and may be enjoying their success due to his popularity. When we look potentially at making changes to them, we need to keep in mind the landscape of the rest of the hero roster. For example, if Genji is tweaked and possibly played less, those heroes might see less success and need adjustments themselves. I wish they gave some more stats with this kind of argument, because I kind of agree. I like playing Torb. He's low-key one of my favorite picks right now, but so is Junkrat, so what do I know? There are options to go at a Genji and stop him from perma-diving your backline, but you have to commit to that role and kind of understand that matchup, and I think once you do, Genji's not as oppressive as you might think, but I can definitely understand a lot of players wanting him nerfed, seeing as he's just sort of a strong Overwatch 2 character overall that does what you need from the role. Next up, talking about supports, here they say Sly as a Fox. Kiriko has been well received by the community with an initial play rate of over 75% in most matches when we first launched. Of course, this is just quick play, making her an instant favorite among many players. This play rate has been since balanced out compared to other supports, however. Her win rate has increased from 48% to 52% as players learned her kit and playstyle over the past week. I'd also say when you see a new character have a low win rate to begin with and then a better one over time, I wonder how much of that is the "this isn't going to be one of my mains" effect, where many players in fact, are trying out Kiriko, but it's probably not their jam. And so there's sort of a selection bias going on when players are obviously trying the new hero, noticing it's not for them, and then maybe the true success of the character and the players that are going to commit to her maintain, and then the win rate goes up with nothing else changing. Some really interesting things about Kiriko get mentioned here. You'll want to keep in mind this, as she's going to be entering competitive very soon. The devs say her healing averages in the middle when you compare it to the rest of the support roster, and her damage output right now is about even with Ana, which is relatively low compared to heroes like Lucio, Moira, and Brigitte. Kiriko gets a lot of value in her evasiveness with wall climb and swift step to get out of harm's way, allowing her to stay alive longer in team fights and making her the most survivable support hero on the roster currently. We're keeping an eye on how she performs in the weeks ahead of the Overwatch League playoffs next month. A thing that I've noticed is like a lot of discussion and content made about the game has been geared towards the first 2 weeks of ranked, and that's not going to be the main personality of Season 1 as soon as Kiriko is out. I think a lot of the heroes you assume are the meta picks might shift a bit once Kiriko adds that extra support flexibility in the roster. This next section is about a map pool. They say with new and returning maps based on locations worldwide, we want each season in Overwatch 2 to feel refreshing and exciting for new and returning players. To support that goal and allow our team, when we think it's appropriate, to make adjustments to our maps, we have begun to run a map pool featuring all new locations and many original maps. For Season 1, we're playing on the following maps for both quick play and competitive: Ilios, Lijiang, Oasis, Nepal, Busan, all of which with their own lighting. Keep in mind that the different lighting effects technically gives a different map as far as the devs are concerned, which they'll alternate through different seasons, I would assume. Escort is Circuit Royale, Dorado, Route, Gibraltar, Junkertown. Hybrid is Midtown, Kings Row, Eichenwald, Hollywood, Paraiso. And Push is New Queen Street, Coliseo, and Esperanza? Someone told me how to say this and I forgot. Bit of a bias towards the new maps that they've added. And although there is a handful still missing, it's still quite a lot of maps, to be honest. Wasn't there going to be a way to select maps? Blizzard said there would be. Is that a soon TM feature? Moving on with the blog post, they said, each subsequent season, we will rotate out some maps of the map pool and bring back others that had been previously out of rotation. As we continue to rotate maps in and out, we'll be looking at improving and tweaking them. So for example, when Rialto returns in season 2, players will notice a few spots where we have added additional cover, which should help make the map play better in the 5v5 environment with reduced shields. For players who want to play maps not currently in the map rotation, hop into a custom game or the occasional arcade mode. Next section, they say climbing the ranks. Our team would like to apologize for ranking many players too low in the first week of Overwatch 2. I mean, I thought that was part of the goal with the soft reset, but we discovered a bug that was impacting player skill ratings, which is contributed to many players being placed in Bronze 5, where they should have been placed higher. Our most recent patch included a fix that will help you get back to your true rank quickly. Oh God, that language I think is a big mistake, and will be reflected the next time you receive a competitive ranking update. You will receive a boost as you continue playing to help you get to the correct ranks. Players who haven't yet placed in competitive won't experience this issue after the fix goes live. We're also watching your feedback about how we present your skill tier and division and how you celebrate that in game. While we don't have any details we can share yet, expect us to make more improvements to competitive, and we will continue to watch your feedback. So I wanted to talk more about this in a separate video. I'll give a sneak peek to those thoughts here about ranked, where I feel I really like having the ranks out of the way, invisible. Don't worry about it, just play the game. Because of the soft reset, I have noticed that the matchmaking can sometimes feel a little on the easier side, a little bit on the harder side. You got to adjust to which type of match they put you in, but with an elo system, that's supposed to be the way it works. That should be an okay thing. And the incessant demand of a match be completely fair and even, A, isn't possible, and B, kind of misses the point of an elo system. So the psychology of that for me has been amazing. It's felt a lot easier to just queue up ranked whenever I want and not have people argue about meaningless things. Instead, just check the scoreboard and see how many deaths I have. I'm probably to blame. No, ranked has actually been going pretty well, but having reset it a bit, I think it's going to take a bit before I start to level out. But it's nice to have the soft reset and kind of just blast through a few ranks for a while until you reach your real skill peak. I like that quite a bit, actually, but that's my personal preference. Last section for the blog post. Thank you for week 1, and here's to many more. Finally, we want to ensure games play out fairly for all players in all matches. In a future patch, we'll fix an issue that could cause some rubber banding in game. We also want to be certain that hit registration for shots fired is working pixel perfectly. We have investigated reports from players about hit registration, and many reports are actually related to how our replay tool works, which does not perfectly capture the alignment of each player's aim. And importantly, for hit scan heroes, players should be looking at where their crosshair was at the moment they fired instead of trying to follow the bullet trail, which can also be covered by muzzle flash effects. This is an important thing that whenever you're doing investigative 0.25 analysis of your hit scan shots, the visual indicators of the muzzle flash and the bullet tracer as you track it like the Wanted movie midair, those are just visuals. In every video game, that hit scan is a laser that doesn't have actual form. You're just looking at the representation of the graphics in game. But it does seem like Blizzard is admitting that there's something to these claims, that hit registration feels a little wonky. Players have mentioned this. There's been a lot of discussion about it. It feels fine to me, but maybe I played too many projectiles. So I'm not sure about that. Sometimes it feels a little off, but the whole game plays and feels to run better than Overwatch 2. So I don't know if I'm missing something. I look forward to them working on that. There's a little bit more of the blog post left. They say there are also misconceptions about how our controller settings on PC work, which does not affect mouse input. As an example, aim smoothing under gamepad does not impact mouse input latency or precision. However, in one report, we discovered a bug that affected the hitbox alignment of our rendered objects for Junker Queen in some specific situations, and we're working diligently to fix this issue. We also understand that some PC players have concerns with input responsiveness and recommended trying out these changes to improve how quickly the game responds to player input. And they list here, make sure the in-game resolution setting matches your actual monitor set resolution. Set the capped frame rate to a value that matches your monitor's maximum frame rate. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, turn on NVIDIA Reflex and the boost. Otherwise, turn on reduced buffering for other GPUs. Finally, in your gameplay options, turn on enable high precision mouse input to speed up how frequently your mouse captures position in the game. Thank you to all players who are part of the first week of Overwatch 2. While this time has been incredibly exciting for the community and our team, it's also come with many challenges that we are looking to address quickly. We will continue to listen to player feedback as we strive to make Overwatch 2 the best game it can be, and we are looking forward to sharing more in the coming weeks leading up to Season 2. In the meantime, we hope everyone is having a blast in the game, and we'll talk again soon. Guys, that's everything for today's blog posts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. We'll see you guys next time.